Imagine discovering that the most valuable thing stolen from Libya during the 2011 war wasn't its oil fields, but something far more dangerous to the global financial system. It's gold. For over a decade, the story remained buried under rubble, propaganda, and political noise. Until now, Saif al-Islam Gaddafi, the son of Libya's former leader, has broken his silence and issued a demand the West hoped he would never make. Return the missing gold. He isn't asking for aid. He isn't asking for apologies. He is asking for the one asset that could rewrite the narrative of the entire war. Because if that gold resurfaces, it doesn't just restore wealth, it exposes motive. Tonight we unravel the hidden trail of Libya's gold and the uncomfortable truth Western powers never wanted the world to examine. Chapter 1. Why the gold was a threat. Before a single NATO aircraft circled Libyan airspace, something else had already caught the world's attention. Muammar Gaddafi had accumulated over 140 tons of gold, not as a trophy, but as the backbone of a radical idea, a unified African currency backed by real gold. No dollar, no euro, no IMF strings attached. A currency controlled by Africans for Africans. For Western capitals, this wasn't a financial proposal. It was a declaration of independence from the post-colonial economic order. France feared losing control over the CFA franc. The US saw a challenge to the dollar's global grip. And European institutions understood that an African gold-backed currency would permanently shift the balance of power. Then, almost as if on cue, Libya was rebranded overnight. What was once praised as Africa's most prosperous nation suddenly became a humanitarian emergency. Intervention became urgent, bombs fell, institutions collapsed, and amid the chaos, Libya's gold vanished. No official explanation, no inventory, no return, just silence. And now Saif al-Islam is forcing the question that was never meant to be asked. Where did Libya's gold go, and who took it? Chapter 2. The night the vaults went dark. According to official records, Libya's gold was stored safely inside the central bank of Libya. But wars rewrite reality. As Tripoli descended into violence in 2011, something strange happened behind the scenes. Convoys moved quietly after dark. Vaults were left unguarded. Bank officials disappeared. Documentation evaporated. No one talked about gold. Media reports avoided the subject entirely. NATO statements mentioned everything except Libya's reserves. Yet multiple insiders, from African diplomats to former Libyan officials, later confirmed that the gold was removed during the very first phase of the war. Not after militias entered Tripoli, not after government collapse, before that. Right when the chaos provided the perfect cover. Gold doesn't move by magic. It requires authorization, transport, and protection. Only one actor in 2011 had. Full control of Libyan airspace, unrestricted military movement, intelligence coordination across borders. And that actor was NATO. Flights left Libya that were never logged publicly. Assets were secured under opaque emergency protocols. And after the mission ended, no trace of the gold was ever returned to Libyan authorities. The silence wasn't an accident, it was a shield. Chapter 3. Who could move the gold? To move a nation's gold, you need three things: access, power, silence. Access came from military control. Power came from international legitimacy. Silence came from classified operations. Gold bars don't fit into backpacks. They require armored transport, strategic routes, and international clearances. During the war, NATO had total command over Libyan skies and ports. All movement in and out of the country was monitored, controlled, or executed by the coalition. And just like that, vault records vanished. Central bank files went missing. Successor governments were never given an audit. The UN remained silent on gold transfers. A disappearance that large requires institutional cooperation, or institutional fear. And then there's France. As Libya's strongest critic and the most active European force pushing for intervention, France had both motive and proximity. The gold-backed African currency threatened French influence in West Africa more than anyone else. That is why Saif's accusation hits harder than any lawsuit. He isn't asking whether someone took the gold. He is asking when they plan to return it. Chapter 4: Follow the aftermath. When Libya's institutions collapsed, something odd happened in Europe. Banks suddenly balanced their books, gold markets stabilized at strange moments, temporary liquidity quietly flowed where stress was building. No explanation, no transparency, just coincidence. Meanwhile, Libya's central assets abroad were frozen, managed, and redistributed through complicated legal structures. Not returned, not inventoried, not fully accounted for. Experts who attempted to trace the gold found gaps in European central bank records, entries that didn't align with previous statements, missing dates, numbers that simply didn't add up. It wasn't sloppy bookkeeping, it was intentional opacity. Because if Libya's gold was acknowledged as removed by NATO members, the entire legal basis of the war collapses. A humanitarian mission turning into a resource seizure. That would be a scandal of global proportions. Chapter 5: Saif Gaddafi breaks the silence. For years, Saif al-Islam Gaddafi remained a shadowed figure, silent, isolated, politically radioactive. But now he has done what no Western government expected. He demanded, publicly, the return of Libya's gold. Not the assets frozen abroad, not money held in foreign accounts, the physical gold. And this changes everything, because asking for the gold forces nations to choose, deny it exists, and expose inconsistencies, admit they have it, and reveal the real motive behind the war. Stay silent and imply guilt. Saif's demand is not symbolic, it is strategic. By naming the gold, he reopens the file the world sealed shut in 2011. Libyans who never supported the old regime are now rallying behind the question: if the war was truly about saving civilians, why did our gold disappear? Saif's demand unites tribes, young Libyans, and former officials in a rare moment of agreement. The war wasn't just destruction, it was extraction. If the gold returns, the truth returns with it. Gold is permanent. It leaves fingerprints, it leaves records, it leaves a trail. If Libya's gold is ever returned, even partially, it forces the world to accept a truth buried beneath 12 years of political storytelling. The 2011 war was not just a foreign intervention, it was an economic strike, a preemptive operation to stop Africa from gaining financial independence. That's why Saif's demand terrifies the West, because acknowledging the gold means acknowledging the lie. And if the truth about Libya's gold surfaces, every other intervention in Africa will face the same question. What was really taken, and who benefited? Saif al-Islam's challenge is not just a claim. It is a pressure test on the entire Western narrative of the past decade, and now the world watches, not to see whether the gold returns, but to see whether the truth finally escapes the vault built to hide it.